You're listening to the Intuitive Souls podcast. I am your host, Erica Russo, and this podcast is designed to educate, inspire, and enlighten. Let's wake up together. Hello and welcome to the Intuitive Souls podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Super excited that the universe led you here. If you are an OG, you know I say this every episode, but I fucking love you. And thank you for coming back, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your continued support. I love you. I seriously love each and every one of you. And if I could give you a virtual hug, I would. I am actually, because that is my intention. If you don't know me, my name is Erica Russo. I am an intuitive development coach and a business coach for spiritual brands. And this podcast, just like my intro, is all about educating, inspiring, and enlightening. And we talk about basically everything under the spirituality umbrella. I've had some amazing guests come on, from psychic mediums to astrologers to Reiki healers to coach, you name it. We just have talked about everything. And this is just my happy place. And I'm so excited that you guys are here with me in my happy place. If you are enjoying this podcast, if you're learning something, if it's bringing you value, if it's putting a smile on your face, if you can just take 1 second out of your time and head on over to iTunes to write a review. Those reviews is what helps me get this podcast to the ears that need to hear it. So head on over, write a review, but before you click submit, go ahead, take a screenshot, send that screenshot to me at hello@ericarusso.co, no M, and I'm going to send you my soul alignment activation for free as a thank you for your support and your help and all of that great stuff. So in this episode, this is a solo show, guys. I want to talk about being a spiritual parent because I feel like it needs to be spoken about because there's so many people that maybe have had a similar experience like mine, where I actually had my spiritual awakening after kids. I went through a dark night of the soul when I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and it was heavy times and it was scary. And start being a parent in and of itself, spiritual or not, is crazy and just nuts. But having something happen to you, whether it be a trauma or something that triggers a spiritual awakening or just starting you on your spiritual path, it's really a unique and vulnerable experience. And I just want to talk about the things that I have learned being spiritual and also being a parent. And I have something happened a couple of weeks ago. So after working a full day of creating content, making TikTok videos, and finishing up modulars, I know I butcher that word every single time I say it, but I'm from New York, so you have to forgive me. Modules for my coaching program, Business by Divine. I really was just totally fried, and I knew that I needed to take a quick 15-minute break. So I just headed on over, lit a candle, and just sat at my altar just to start the process of calming down, of grounding, of bringing myself back to the present moment. Because when you're in content creation, I don't know about you guys, but when you're in full-blown creation mode and you are just taking inspired action, I am not grounded. I am oh my God, I need to do this. And you're just creating. I'm just in that zone. You know what I mean? So you're really not grounded and in the present moment when you're doing this sort of stuff. So anyway, I, started my meditation practice, and my office is upstairs, and downstairs is where everybody obviously lives. And I heard, like, it's not ever quiet in my house, first off. It's never fucking quiet in my house. I have two children that are video game addicts. I have two dogs. Like, there's never any peace and quiet in my house. I've learned to live with it. I have still learned to put myself in that power. It takes time and effort, but, I could still do it. But anyway, so I had like three TVs blasting downstairs. My children were bickering back and forth. My husband, is trying to parent them and separate them, but sometimes a mom needs to do it. And this whole time that I'm just sitting there with my eyes closed, focusing in on my breath, this whole time this was happening, I was acutely aware of it. Like, I was just in the observance mode. I was like, okay, this is typical, but he has it handled, and I'm going to take this time to be by myself and to be the observer. And soon after, like, they died down, like my children died down, and he turned off the TV, the UPS guy showed up with one of my many Amazon packages because, quarantine shopping. And this caused my two basset hounds to completely go apeshit, barking and howling. Nevertheless, I allowed my meditation to persist. I didn't stop and give up just because there was noise, because you can meditate anywhere. You can meditate in the middle of Times Square. You can meditate in the middle of the woods. You can meditate underneath a waterfall. It is your intention that is the key factor, okay? And we can use all of these things, all of these distractions, especially when you're a parent, especially when you have a massive to-do list, to not sit and meditate. Let's be real, because I'm going to call you out right now. Everyone has a shit show going on at home. Everybody has so much going on in their heads at all times. So you have to stop making these stories up, and you just have to sit. You just have to meditate, okay? I don't care if it's for 10 minutes, but when you set an intention for yourself and when you actually go through with it, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel so much better. Like, I promise you that. And some of you might be being like, well, why? Why did you still meditate? Why didn't you go down and help your husband? Why didn't you go down when your dog started barking to calm them? Why? Because I value my connection to myself and source, because I have realized that putting everybody else before my own needs didn't fucking work for me. Okay? It left me drained, completed, alone, sad, depressed. You need to put yourself first. And if that means sitting upstairs for 15 minutes while the whole world just stops, or this whole world still does its thing, but you allow yourself that break, that's what it takes. I value my connection to source. I value my self-worth. I value putting myself first, because when I put myself first, everything else falls into place so much better. And through my own journey, through my own wisdom that I have acquired through my own life, the last reason why I didn't get out of my meditation and go, be a mom or be a dog mom or whatever you want to call it, is that I know that I cannot control everything. I know it. I can't control everything, and neither can you. And once we realize that, moms have such a hard time with the whole control thing. We really do. We think we need to control everything because we have that mom label. We think that we need to control everything, and it's not true. It's a story that we tell ourselves. And having a spiritual awakening while being a parent, for me, when it was happening, it was scary, but it has been an absolute gift. And I never considered myself to be depressed or suffer from anxiety. Obviously, I'm human. Obviously, I yes, sometimes I felt depressed. Sometimes I felt anxious, but I never had to, I never went to therapy for it. I always kind of was able to snap myself out of it and whatnot. But when you are able to witness your everyday mindset and the thoughts you think and how you react to certain situations, you realize there is always room for improvement. Okay, you don't have to consider yourself to be anxious. You don't have to consider yourself to be bipolar or whatever the case is. There's always room for improvement. And when I started meditating, I realized a lot of shit that I did that wasn't necessarily positive, that maybe triggered things within me or cycles that were negative. And it's not until we are aware of our own shit that we can actually fix it. And through my daily meditation practice, that allowed me to get out of my own victim mentality or get out of my own mind long enough to realize, like, oh my God, I sound like my mother, or oh my God, I don't like the way I react to this, or oh my God, like, why would I ever, say something like that? If we're not aware of it, it's going to keep on going on and on and on. Um, you know, I've learned a lot. I have learned a lot, some through trial and error, some through just my own life. But while I am, I guess, what you can consider a woke parent, there are three things that really stand out, and I want to share them with you. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the one thing that I have learned, and maybe people, and this might be a trigger for some people, but it's true. If you are happy, your kids are happy, especially when they are young, especially when they are younger than the age of 8. It burns my ass seeing overworked, restless, exhausted moms breaking their asses and giving everything they can to their families and not valuing the importance of their own well-being. It breaks my ass because I can see it even when I'm doing readings with these mothers. I'm seeing and I'm sensing their energy depletion. I am seeing and sensing that they are not putting themselves first, which is also causing kind of a ripple effect in everything else in their lives, whether it be their relationship with their spouse or their kids acting up or whatever the case may be. Repeat after me, guys. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't do it. I feel like 80% of moms struggle with the concept of putting themselves first because putting yourself first, we've been programmed to believe that it's selfish. Putting yourself before your kids is selfish. Says who? Says who? For the first 5 years of me being a stay-at-home parent, I lost my sense of self. I can't even say I lost it. I feel like I never had it. I had no idea who I was other than a wife and a mom. I couldn't tell you what my hobbies were. Hobbies, what's that? I fucking breastfeed and I watch Alias on Hulu. That was my life. And I couldn't tell you what my favorite cocktail was or my favorite meal. I couldn't tell you what outfit made me feel sexy and beautiful. I couldn't tell you my favorite makeup or how to wear my hair. I wasn't Erica. I just did what I had to do, and that was my life. And it was like I was a robot. I was a shell of a person. And as soon as I woke up, I knew that putting myself first and finding those things that lit me up would not only benefit me, but benefit the people I love the most. Because when you love yourself, it just outpours. It just goes into every other aspect of your life. And so I started meditating and diving into personal and spiritual development. And I started reading again. Guys, I loved reading. And I started buying things for myself without extreme guilt. And you know what happened? Everybody benefited. My kids stopped having so many temper tantrums. My husband stopped being so stressed out. My kids, once I started putting makeup on, they were a little freaked out at first because I didn't wear makeup. But when they started seeing that I was making the effort and putting makeup on more and more and straightening my hair or curling my hair or whatever the case may be, like they would say like, "Wow, Mom, you look really pretty today." And it was just, at first it was like, why are you looking at me like that? Because they would just like stare at me while I'm like, putting eyeliner on, like, what are you doing? But when they realized that I felt better about myself and that I walked around with a sense of self-worth and confidence after I took care of myself, they saw that, they felt it, and they emulated it. And even my husband, like, when I am able to sneak in 2 meditations in a day, my husband sees how much calmer and happier I am. He sees that I'm just a happier, positive person when I'm able to sneak in another meditation. And when I started taking those weekends to drive up to my parents' house in Rhode Island at the beach, even if it was in the middle of winter, I came home refreshed. I came home rested. I came home ready to take on the fucking world. When you are in alignment, everyone, everyone around you benefits. You will naturally lift up the vibration of your surroundings and the people in it. So instead of just saying you will do something for yourself, go and actually do it, even if you feel resistance about it. Because you putting yourself first, it's just a natural, easy way of raising your vibration. So if you're trying to spiritually develop, if you're trying to really harness in on your mediumship or intuition skills, the first thing is, one, cultivating balance and putting yourself first, because that's a natural thing that's going to raise your vibrations naturally, which will then allow your connection to grow naturally. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I have learned is parenting is a shit show. Meditation helps. So have you ever locked yourself in the closet just to take a break? Or have you ever sat on your bathroom floor eating the last of your kids' Halloween candy as they threw a temper tantrum in the hallway? Or have you ever busted your ass cleaning the house and making it sparkle for it to be completely trashed the next day? Or how about this one? Have you ever bought a massive jumbo size of a particular snack that your child would only eat, like it was their part of their daily nutrition, even if it wasn't nutritious? And then, the night after you buy that massive value pack, they suddenly tell you that it's yucky? Or has your kid ever ratted you out to grandma or grandpa or their teacher? So, did you nod yes to any single one of these things? Because if you did, chances are you are a parent. Guys, I don't give a fuck how pretty your Instagram is. I don't give a shit how beautiful the photographs that you post of your kids are, and how picture perfect you claim your life to be on social media. I'm psychic. I know my shit, okay? This shit is nuts. Not just because I'm psychic, but because I'm a parent, okay? This shit is fucking nuts. Do not, there's so many what the fuck moments throughout your day that by the end of it, you can feel totally defeated. You can feel totally defeated. And I didn't even go into my spiritual awakening or my spiritual journey, so to speak, to develop my psychic senses and mediumship. I just started meditating every day because, one, my husband was suffering with really severe anxiety and he started meditating. And within a week, I saw a dramatic difference within him. So I was like, if meditation, 20 minutes of meditation a day can do that for him, what can it do for me? That's really how I started this whole thing. And with that, it it was just crazy. All I wanted to do was clear my mind and see things differently. All I wanted to do was, not just obsess over my to-do list and beat myself up about things. I didn't want to do it anymore. I wanted to be calmer and happier. And it wasn't until I just started going deeper in my meditation practice. Like, I went from 20 minutes a day to 30 minutes a day. And that 10 minutes just got me deeper. It just got me deeper. And when I started doing that, that's when spirit started showing up. And I was like, what is going on? And my intuition and my mediumship abilities just grew naturally as I quieted my mind and spent time with my soul. The American Meditation Society states that the best meditation practice is 2 times a day for 20 minutes each time. I know that it can be hard to even grab one session a day, but I have done basically everything. I have done meditation for just 10 minutes a day. I have done meditation 2 times a day. I've done meditation 3 times a day. I've done meditation for an hour. I have seen, and I do believe that 2 times a day for 20 minutes each session really makes such a difference. But I also know that it's hard sometimes. It's really hard. So I always say, like, start with 10 minutes, gently work your way up to 20. You are going to have thoughts come in, okay? Everybody thinks that like meditation is about quieting your mind. It's not about quieting your mind. It's about observing the thoughts that you are coming through. And when you go into a meditation practice thinking that, it goes better because it's just such a myth that like you have to stop your thoughts. You're never going to be able to stop your thoughts. You're never going to be able to stop your thoughts. So don't beat yourself up about it. It's not meditation perfect. It's meditation practice. So if you are interested, remember I do have a chakra healing meditation on this podcast, as well as a cord cutting meditation and a Meet Your Spirit Guides meditation. And again, if you are interested, if you want to head on over to iTunes and write a review, you can get my soul alignment activation for free, which is also in the form of a guided meditation. And that one's really good as well. But there are already 3 guided meditations on this podcast for you. You just have to look for them. So the last thing I want to talk about is your kids being your greatest teachers. When you are a parent, you have chosen to bring another soul into this world. And think about that for a second. You chose long before you got baby fever and started pinning nursery room ideas that you were going to be the parent of this beautiful soul that is your child. You chose them and they chose you. And you can read all the books and listen to all the podcasts and watch all the TED Talks, but when it comes down to it, your children are your greatest teachers. They are going to teach you joy and vulnerability and selflessness and patience, control, and how to be of service and how to be selfless. Allow them to be your teacher. Allow yourself to just witness them through the eyes of spirit. I mean, my kids, sometimes the stuff that comes out of my 8-year-old's mouth, I'm like, how did you become so wise? How did you become so smart? How did you become so damn practical? You will be amazed, and they're just going to completely surprise you time and time and time again. And we just have to allow them to be the teachers. So that's what I want to say about that. I hope everyone is having a great week. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope that, spring has sprung for you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope that everyone is going outside and grounding and taking some time for yourself because, this is crazy what we're going through right now. But one day at a time and, try to stay grateful. And that's it. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.